there was another rumor, and I think there's been a number of rumors, but the other notable one I thought would be worth bringing up is David Tennant is coming back to be the next Doctor. The not a flashback to or the same version of actually the next Doctor, that Whitaker would regenerate into Tennant, and then they would have a number of specials with Tennant as the Doctor, only to have him regenerate into the go forward Doctor. I guess this was a rumor that I don't think ever really had a lot of credibility. It's an interesting idea. I've actually, I think, brought up in previous episodes of our podcast how I think it'd be cool to have the Doctor kind of regenerate back into an older version.
Yeah.
So it's not something that we haven't talked about as a possibility. Would they ever do it? Probably not. Would David Tennant come back to be the next Doctor after Jodie Whittaker? I don't see him doing that. Would I like it? I think I would probably, because I like him so much. So I don't know. Even though I think, once again, probably a pretty debunked rumor.
Yeah.
I was curious to hear just your thoughts on if that actually happened, if you would like it or dislike it.
I mean, you go back to where we had the curator show up, right? And what he tells Smith's doctor, and he says, maybe you'll revisit a lot of old faces. Mm-hmm. Right. It opens the door to like, hey, we want to revisit a lot of old faces. I think it would be fun. I really do. I think it would be fun to take a couple episodes, run through a couple of the previous Doctors, have those adventures. Do I think it's going to happen? Yeah, absolutely not. Tennant seems to stay pretty busy with a bunch of random out of the way. It seems like his face pops up in so many different random places that I don't expect. I couldn't tell you recently what I've seen him in, but it seems like his name is constantly showing up places.
He's doing another season of Bad Omens,
yes,
or Good Omens. I always
yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I know he's doing that. Well, you know where he didn't show up? The day I was at
Comic-Con.
Philly Fan Expo.
Yeah.
Quick story for the listeners. There was a con. I haven't been to a Comic-Con, since the pandemic. And so they actually had one here in Philly. They renamed it. Used to be like Wizard World Philadelphia. Now it's Philly Fan Expo. And David Tennant was supposed to be here. And I was so excited because I'm like, oh, my first con back. David Tennant's actually going to be here. They had some other pretty big name celebrities. And then as a late addition, they had none other than Donna Noble was going to be joining him. They were going to actually have a joint panel. And I had it on my schedule. It was on a Saturday. So I was only going to go to the con on Saturday. And they changed it last minute. They changed it. And so I went to look at the schedule on Friday night just to double check. And I'm like, okay, I'm going tomorrow. I'm going to see David Tennant. I'm going to see this joint panel. And he wasn't on the schedule anymore. And they had changed his time to be a day earlier, so I had missed his panel.
I didn't realize that I saw that you changed it so you missed it, but I didn't realize they moved it a whole day earlier.
Yeah, they moved it.
That seems a little shady.
His schedule changed.
Yeah.
So he had to leave early. So he still had a panel. It was just a day earlier than I was going to be there, and it already happened by the time I realized they had rescheduled it. So I didn't. And then of course I missed seeing David Tennant. I also. The Donald Noble part, she didn't even end up showing up. So she
really?
wasn't there at all. So,
yeah, I mean, like I said, he's a very busy person. So whether they could pull him in for a few episodes, I don't know. But it feels like there's a lot of interesting possibilities that you could do with some of these older Doctors returning, right? Like, again, it wouldn't happen, but it would be fun to see Matt Smith show up again. Take a run. We already know it would never happen. It'd be fun to see Eccleston show up and take a few runs as the Doctor.
If you had asked me like a year ago, I would have said Eccleston is a possibility.
Yeah. Yep.
He did go through a phase where it seemed like he was kind of warming up to Doctor Who again, but I think that was a short-lived phase, and I don't think he's interested anymore.
The lockdown and the pandemic definitely warmed Eccleston up to being around people as the Doctor again. But then, yeah, that doesn't seem too positive anymore.
He's had some recent comments where you're like, yeah, he's not coming back. So
yeah.
I do think, the whole idea of David Tennant being the next Doctor and Jodie Whittaker regenerating into that, I don't think that's going to happen. Now, will David Tennant and or Matt Smith come back at some point during the whole 60-year anniversary stuff, and will they show up in a special? I still think that's a possibility.
Do you really think that Smith would show back up? He seems to be
floundering a bit. I don't know.
really,
What has he
really.
done recently that's been notable?
So like, okay, so notable, yeah.
He was in
That's
Morbius, but I hear that was a flop.
I heard the movie was a flop, but I heard that Smith was actually the highlight of the entire movie. That the way that he portrayed his character was incredible, and he surpasses anything that the movie has to offer. I haven't seen it myself, but that's just what I've heard. And then he has the new Game of Thrones thing coming out,
That's
right?
true. That's coming.
Unless they're going to kill him off within the first like 2 episodes, and then
Which
it's a
is
huge. It's definitely a possibility,
Game of
right?
Thrones.
Right.
I don't know. I think he's been gone long enough that I wouldn't be completely surprised. And I do think with David Tennant, it's more likely because of his connection to, Russell T Davies and that time period and stuff. So like almost as a favor, like, hey, yeah, let's kick off your run, as the showrunner with a bang. I'll come do an episode,
Yeah.
So it wouldn't completely shock me to see David Tennant show up. I just don't think he's going to show up, kind of as that, she regenerates into him as the 14th Doctor,
Yeah.
that seems a little more far-fetched.